More videos out of the United States, more accusations of police brutality, and more officers likely to find themselves in the dock. A graphic warning, this vision is quite disturbing to watch. A black bottle shop owner who called police to say he was holding a shoplifter at gunpoint in Alabama found himself on the receiving end of this. The 47-year-old suffered a fractured jaw. The police officer has been placed on desk duty pending an investigation. LAPD's officer Frank Hernandez has been charged over this incident last April. This is an illegal use of force. A man suspected of trespassing beat as the second officer calls for backup. Take a look.
Don't fight. You're fighty, man.
Up, bro.
You're fighty, man.
Ain't nobody fighting.
Ben.
Right there, you need a backup.
Come on, then. What's wrong with you, bro? Quit, mother. Quit.
You. What's wrong with you, mother? What the wrong with you, mother?
What's wrong with you, dumb?
Shut the.
Can you put your hands behind your back, please?
You're not cooperating.
In New York, this officer who shoved a woman violently to the ground during a protest has been charged with assault. The video taken by Newsweek reporter on May 29 went viral. The NYPD officer allegedly called the 20-year-old victim an effing bitch. She has spoken for the first time since the attack.
I didn't know a concussion felt this awful. I haven't really been able to hold down food. I've been really nauseous and my head hurts and my back. But I'm alive and I'm grateful.
Oh, it's incredibly hard to watch. Hello, my name is Julie Snook and welcome to 9 News Watch. In a moment, we'll have a report from Houston on an incredibly powerful and moving farewell to George Floyd. But first, we want to stay in the US, where the chief of the New York Police Officers Union has addressed the media. A visibly angry Mike O'Meara says he is speaking up for police who he says have been abandoned by legislators and vilified by the press.
This isn't stained by someone in Minneapolis. It's still got a shine on it. And so do theirs. So do theirs. Stop treating us like animals and thugs and start treating us with some respect. That's what we're here today to say. We've been left out of the conversation. We've been vilified. It's disgusting. It's disgusting. Well, you know what, guys? I'm proud to be a cop, and I'm going to continue to be proud to be a cop until the day I retire. And that's all I have to say.
The US president, meantime, has leapt to the defence of police in his own unique Donald Trump way. He has blamed the 75-year-old man in this vision there who was pushed over by police in Buffalo for possibly being an Antifa provocateur, that is the left-wing organisation he wants to have labelled as terrorists. Trump saying he fell harder than he was pushed. Could it be a setup? This was the New York Governor Andrew Cuomo.
President Trump did a tweet today that surprises me, even after all the tweets he has done. You read his tweets, you get to a point where you say, well, nothing could surprise me. I've seen it all. And then you get surprised again. You get shocked again. You get disgusted again. What do you think it was? It was staged? You think the blood coming out of his head was staged? Is that what you're saying? You saw his head hit the pavement. You see blood on the pavement. Maybe he fell harder than he was pushed. How reckless, how irresponsible, how mean, how crude.
The man in the vision is a well-known peace activist. He is now out of intensive care but still remains in hospital. Buffalo police officers have been charged with assault over the incident. Both pleaded not guilty. Family and friends have said their final goodbyes to George Floyd at a private funeral service in his hometown of Houston. Our correspondent Alexis Date was there.
Mourners here have paid tribute to Big Floyd, as they called him, a mentor, an athlete, a father and a gentle giant. It was a really powerful service here in Houston, Texas today, and one that really paid tribute to George Floyd in terms of the change he has made to America and really the world as we knew it. A lot of the speakers inside the church talked about George Floyd's death now being a force of change. We also heard some beautiful gospel music. We heard from dignitaries, from politicians and civil rights leaders as well. In particular, some beautiful words we heard from George Floyd's family, including his brother.
All I think about is when he was yelling for mama. And I know how mama is. She's just right there. She got her hands wide open. Come here, baby. Every mama felt that.
Also here today, we understand, was Don Damond. He is the fiancé of Australian woman Justine Brucecheck, who was shot dead by a Minneapolis policeman. He also has met with the mother of George Floyd's young daughter, and he offered her these words of comfort.
The world wants to put their arms around you, Gianna, you know, and so feel that. Let them carry you.
Following the funeral here, a procession left the church and then headed to the Houston Memorial Gardens, which is George Floyd's final resting place. He will be buried alongside his mother, and while this may be the last of George Floyd's memorial services, it is only the beginning of what this country hopes is some fundamental change.
Well, sadly, on the day of the funeral, this video has emerged of a man appearing to mock George Floyd's death as protesters pass by. Backed by a wall of flags, Trump signs and an All Lives Matter placard, you can hear the outrage. That was in South Jersey. The individual imitating police officer Derek Chauvin in Minneapolis was outed on Twitter, and he's been sacked by his employer, FedEx. Another man who featured in the video footage has been suspended from his post at the New Jersey Department of Corrections, pending an investigation. Returning home now, and huge relief in Victoria this afternoon, with William Callahan found safe and well after 2 nights missing in freezing cold bushland. 500 people were out searching for the 14-year-old on Mount Disappointment, about an hour north of Melbourne, when he was located 20 metres from a walking track. Because Will is autistic and non-verbal, it was a very unusual rescue effort. Music from his favourite television show, Thomas the Tank Engine, was played on loudspeakers, and locals were asked to barbecue food to try and draw him out of the bush by smell. Now, when he was found, the rescuers were asked not to clap or cheer or make too much noise. The volunteer who found him describes the moment.
He was really angelic, so he was just sort of real peacefully standing there, and he looked in reasonable health. You know, he wasn't shivering too bad. He didn't have socks on, so I put some socks on him and a jacket, and I gave him some chocolate, and yeah.
William had been missing since running off while on a bushwalk on Monday afternoon. So lovely to see him home safe and well. OK, let's get an update on the COVID-19 situation now, and it is game on for community sports in New South Wales, with all ages given the green light to start up competition from July 1. No fans will be allowed in stands, but canteens can open for up to 50 people. Queensland Premier Anastasia Palaszczuk has described the lack of new community transmission cases in New South Wales as encouraging, but is standing firm on border closures until July at the earliest. A third of tourism businesses in Western Australia say they will go under unless its borders are reopened. 4 MPs who attended Black Lives Matter rallies are being tested for COVID-19 and staying away from Parliament as it resumes until they get their results. Splendour in the Grass, which had been postponed until October with headliners Flume and The Strokes, has now been scratched altogether. And coronavirus may have been in Wuhan, China, as early as August, according to a US study that tracked satellite images of cars parked outside of hospitals and an increase in internet searches for the word cough and diarrhea. All right, well, here is a lift up today, courtesy of Mother Nature. Queensland researchers have used a drone to capture more than 64,000 green turtles preparing to nest on the edge of the Great Barrier Reef. The researchers are conducting population surveys at Rain Island, about 620 kilometres north of Cairns, now the world's largest breeding ground for green turtles. Who can blame them? What a beautiful part of the world to call home. Well, thank you so much for joining us on 9 News Watch. I'm Julie Snook. Of course, the team is back again tomorrow from 5:30 p.m. Before we go, though, this is what beating COVID-19 looks like. Security vision from the Danger Danger nightclub in Wellington, New Zealand, getting the party started.